What you're about to witness is a video of me talking about a couple of games that I wanted to review originally, but just never really had the time to. It was either I couldn't get the script done, I just lost interest, or another reason that basically explains why I don't make content as much as I used to. This isn't a new thing for me, there's no script to these ones, so I may just ramble on for a bit, but I thought it'd be interesting to talk about these games because otherwise I probably would have just forgotten about them, and there's a big old list of games I need to go through, so depending on how you guys like this one, I may come back and do some more. Well, scratch that, I'm going to do more anyway because that's kind of fun to record. I think out of all the videos I wanted to work on, DARQ was the one that came closest to actually being finished. Like, the script was actually done, I had it all there ready to go. But how do you make a video interesting on a game that's incredibly short and took you about 50 minutes to an hour to complete? That's not a bad thing, in my opinion DARQ is actually a really fun game. But there wasn't enough to really justify making a video on it without spoiling the entire game. So to give a bit of a recap, DARQ is a 2D 0.5 kind of platformer puzzle of sorts. It's a very dark and twisted theming, and it's very, very good and interesting, and I actually really enjoyed it, but it was incredibly short. Now, obviously, yes, a lot of people know about this game because of the issue with Epic and the whole rejecting the offer, and then Epic turning around and going, hey, fuck you, we're not going to have you on our platform, and yeah, I'll admit, that's how I know about it. But I didn't really want to put that in the script because, obviously, that's just feeding off on that Epic drama, and even myself, someone who really doesn't like the Epic store anymore, I'm frankly sick of it. So I tried to make the script and make it just justified about DARQ and saying that it is a good game but incredibly short and very basic, but the theming itself is brilliant. I like dark and twisted things, I like it when they're not going with jump scares and more eerie atmospheres. Yes, DARQ does have a couple of jump scares, but a lot of it you just feel uneven. It's more, you're in this situation and you're just kind of sitting there thinking, I don't really want to progress any further because I feel a bit uncomfortable and I don't want to know what's coming next. Now, I did obviously post things on Twitter about this, like the whole trumpet on a wheelchair thing, which is bizarre and I swear I've had a dream like that before. But looking at the core mechanics of DARQ, and obviously looking back at it now compared to when I first played it, it's nothing too out of the ordinary. There's a lot of puzzlers that do this. It's more, DARQ has that kind of theming and atmosphere behind it that makes it stand out a bit more to the rest. And thankfully, due to how well the game did at launch, the developer actually turned around and said, hey, I'm going to make a few more levels for free, and you're going to get them eventually, which, yeah, I mean, that's brilliant. I think there should have been more levels from the start, because if a game takes you an hour to complete, the charm is lost on a second playthrough. But honestly, if you want something that's a short platforming puzzle kind of game and you want something that's going to make you feel a bit uncomfortable, then yeah, DARQ would be a perfect game for it. I'd just say, for the price it's asking, which I think is about 15 quid, don't expect this to be something absolutely amazing. There is a reward there for you if you want to explore more than just what the basic puzzle is, as you'll find stuff like journals. But besides that, it's a pretty straightforward game. Yeah, you can die in it, and obviously you can restart levels if you need to, but a majority of the game you kind of get the idea of where you're going. I only really had a couple of times and it was like, I don't really know what I'm doing here, but would just press a button and figure out. And you can see from my lack of responses or lack of any real input and repeating myself that trying to make a video out of this game with a script was not easy. I really wish I had proper criticism to give on this game, but it is more just the problem of you play it, you enjoy it, and if you're like me, I like this kind of stuff. I don't really do puzzle games that often because, honestly, I'm not that smart, but something in DARQ just made me play it in one sitting and go, this is really, really fun, and I ended up beating it in one sitting, and then, yeah, I just kind of beat the game, thought, oh, that was nice. Kind of wish there was more, though. Now, this is why I made this video, because obviously there's a lot of games I want to review, and sometimes I get review keys for games that I'm shocked to get a review key for, and then when I come to make the video, which I really want to do, because obviously you're kind of obliged to in a weird way with YouTube, you don't have to, but it's better if you do, I couldn't review Gears 5 purely because I don't really care for the multiplayer. I'm not a PvP person, but something about the story really rubbed me the wrong way. Now obviously, spoiler warnings, obviously, if you don't want to watch this bit, just I'll whack a time code on and we'll go from there. But while I really enjoyed playing Gears of War 5, I hated the story for it. It was really bad. So to give a rough idea of what goes on, it starts with an unskippable cutscene of the previous game Gears 4, giving you a rundown of everything that happened, which honestly wasn't a lot because, again, the story was pretty boring. But then it goes from that to now, you're now part of the COG, which is kind of explained, and you have the first level, you play through it. The first campaign chapter is more like Gears of War, it is just the standard formula. That's great, I love it. But then the moment that chapter finishes, you find out that the main character from the previous game, which I think is James, basically pulled a really bad move and killed a lot of civilians, and then they never approach it again. He sacrifices himself to try and save people using the Hammer of Dawn. That backfires. He doesn't die, he just gets like really badly injured and his arm's completely burnt. And that's it. You don't see him until the third and final chapter of the game. He's just kind of, for the next chapter, he's just not there. You're playing as the woman, which I think is Kate, I might be wrong, and you're playing as her. She is now the main character. She is the main character for Gears 5, and she's going to be the main character for Gears 6. That I don't have a problem with because they were building that up in Gears 4. What I do have a problem with is the direction they took the story, and more importantly, the direction they took the gameplay. Because I play Gears of War for fun shooting, linear, tight corridors with a lot of gunfights and a lot of gruesome interactions with shooting the shit out of things, using the chainsaw and the lancer, and just in general just not thinking what I'm doing and just aiming and shooting. When you get to chapter 2, it starts off like that. It introduces an interesting mechanic where you then take over the swarm or the locust as you're inside one of the creatures, which gives the insight of, yeah, Kate's connected somehow and you need to figure out how. And I really like that. I liked playing as the swarm or locust with the objective now being you need to kill your teammates, but you obviously choose not to because you have a bit of a moral standard in it. And then it kind of just goes, yeah, we're never going to touch this again. That's just a plot point to push you towards the next area. Which is where you get, I cannot remember for the life of me what they called it. No, the skiff. I believe it's called the skiff. It is a transport vehicle where one of you sits to do nothing, like just scan and put waypoints, which is absolutely boring, and the other one drives. And then Gears of War becomes a semi-open world game. That's not a Gears game. It's not fun. I remember when we first realised it was turning into that, and I immediately said, for the love of God, I hope this is a one-off, because I do not like this. It was boring, the vehicle movement was iffy at best, a bit, buggy at points. But overall, that wasn't what I wanted to play Gears of War 5 for. I wanted to play it because I wanted to get into just like a dull sense of basically just numb my mind with senseless violence. That's all I wanted to play when I played Gears 5. But it went, hey, we're going to give you side quests, we're going to give you these locations to do, we're going to restrict the best upgrades for your items by doing this fetch quest system in a Gears of War game. A game about shooting things, not exploration. I've never once thought in my mind, hey, it would be good if Gears went a bit more Breath of the Wild. I've never ever thought that was a good I've never ever thought that was a good idea. It just sounded like a dumb idea at the time, and in execution, it was shit. And when we finished the second chapter, the end of it is more like Gears of War, which was fine, and I said, I swear to God, if we have to do another level with the skiff, I'm not going to be happy. And lo and behold, Chapter 3 is another goddamn skiff level. Why? And then all of a sudden James is back, and you just go, yeah, that's fine, we forgive you for, committing genocide and killing innocent civilians who are just rising because they're unhappy about the situation they're in. you just kind of forget it. They never question it. I just don't get it. I do not get the story for Gears 5. It was really badly written, and it just doesn't make any sense. So then you just do the entirety of Chapter 3 with James and this other guy who I can't remember his name, and he's just a terrible voice actor. And you do the same shit again. But there's only 2 this time, it's a little bit shorter, but it's still boring. Open world in Gears of War is not a good thing. It's just terrible. I just don't get it. I can't think of any way I could justify the skiff. It just, I mean, I could rant and rave. The entire script, by the way, was just me going on about how much I hate the skiff level and the story, because the finale is what Gears of War is like. It's linear, it's checkpoint based, there is stuff to shoot constantly, and then that's it. But then they throw one more curveball into it with the choice of, do you want to kill James, or do you want to kill the character you've been with the entire game? Again, the characters aren't well written, I've forgotten his name. And I chose James because I hadn't seen him the entire game, and that's the only one that I thought would have any impact because it's Marcus's son. And from what I've been told, and from what I've seen, yeah, in the other ending, if you choose to save James, no one really gives a shit except Kate, but if you kill James and save the other guy, everyone's sad. Because Marcus lost his son, and Marcus has some deep feelings about it. Which, I mean, I'm guessing that's the direction they want you to go, because that's how Gears 6 is going to play out. It's kind of like Mass Effect's idea with killing someone in the first game, but it wasn't anywhere near as deep or impactful into the game. It was just, hey, you know you haven't seen him the entire game, you could kill him right now and just get on with it. And that's basically it. I played the multiplayer, I played Horde for a little bit, it was just Horde. I played that new escape mode, it's alright. That's why I couldn't review this game. I liked playing it, I fucking hate the story, and I hate some of the choices they made with that game. Would I suggest or recommend Gears 5? Yeah, I mean, if it's in the bargain bin or on sale, it's a fun shooter. Gears of War 4 or any of the other Gears games will give you the same satisfaction. Just if you want to play Gears of War but Breath of the Wild, then by all means, take a look at Gears 5. You will realise what I mean by the skiff is annoying and boring, and you'll just want to go back to playing the Horde mode. This one just makes me sad. Pandemic Express is, in my opinion, a really good idea. It's actually a really fun idea, but even when I got the alpha key back before it came on Steam, which you could buy, I had 2 keys and I gave one to my friend who likes the kind of games I do, and we both sat down and really enjoyed it. But the first thing we thought was, yeah, this shouldn't be sold yet because there's not a lot going on and it's one game mode. If the player base depletes over time, it's going to deplete really quickly, and lo and behold, the game's pretty much abandoned from a player-based point. You can still play the game, very, very rarely, depends what time you log in. You've got to have about 10 players to actually play it, and besides that, you're just kind of sitting in a lobby waiting for something to happen, which is really, really shit, because a lot of games go through this, but when you have in a massive market, especially with the whole Battle Royale thing, if you have these games coming out, you've got to have something unique, and you really need to advertise the idea you've got, and if you're really proud of it, you need to scream and shout. Now, with Tiny Build, they do have this kind of gimmick behind them where they'll make a game, or they'll publish a game. It'll be popular at first thanks to YouTubers, and then all of a sudden it'll get a second chance at life. And I do hope that this happens the same with Pandemic Express. But, I mean, while the devs are still working on it, which is brilliant, I'm not 100% sure of all the mixed reviews on Steam that it's actually going to get noticed. To give you an idea what Pandemic Express is, if you've ever played Virus from Time Splitters or Infection from Halo, it's basically that in a massive map, and there's 30 of you to start with, and you basically need to escape. When the game starts, one of you will become infected, and then they'll have to infect a couple of others. The gates will open, then the rest of you have to leave. You'll have weapons to shoot them down with, but a majority of the time, the infected normally win because there was a bit of an unbalance when I first played it. I played it recently while there was only 10 players, and I mainly just encountered people who had been so good at the game that they just knew all these stupid tricks and it was a pain in the ass to kill them, or the killer would be incredibly good, you'd be killed in the first few minutes, and then that's it. You're just kind of in a loop of really short games with the same people, and the fun just kind of dips a bit because there's no variety in what they choose. They know the metas, they go with that, and it's just a bit of a rinse and repeat situation. What I liked about Pandemic Express when I first played it was, firstly, the designs of the infected I really liked. It was basically, they look human, but they're wearing a mask and they like flail about. I don't really get where the idea came from for Pandemic Express, but as a visual and art standpoint, it's absolutely beautiful. I really, really like the design of it. I think they could make a single player game out of it. It kind of reminds me of We Happy Few, just a little bit less cheerful. But I like this kind of gameplay stuff. I don't like competitive FPSs anymore. I haven't for years because obviously it's just annoying and it doesn't really have much fun behind it. But while it was a PvP game, it didn't feel like that. It felt more like a party game because the game's main objectives didn't really have a overbearing issue if you failed. It wasn't like, oh, I've just lost this for the team, they're going to kill me. It's more, hey, I'm infected now, might as well get the rest of the people who I've once worked with, and you're still a winner at the end of the day. Everybody kind of wins in a weird way, unless obviously the survivors get to the end, but that doesn't really matter. They added stuff like events and cosmetics from what I can see, but no one really plays the game, so I can't really determine if these cosmetics were good or not, which is really upsetting, because again, I don't have anything against this game. I think it's really fun. I like the fluid movement, I like how you can slide down a hill and jump and go flying. I like the fact that there's a radio at the start of the game which you can pick up and carry through the entire game, and it was just a fun game. But it came out too early, and there wasn't enough to keep it going, and by the time the developers have actually added new game modes like the cable car instead of a train, no one's really interested in it anymore, and that's really a shame. I could probably sit here and make a video, which originally I wanted to make a video on it, and go, hey, this game's really fun, you should go buy it and play it. Trust me on this one, because I like my fun games. But at this point, I couldn't see it getting another chance anytime soon. I think if the game comes out of early access when it's finished, then perhaps it would be better. I would like it to be better. I would like to actually sit down and play it again at some point with a full lobby, because you only need 30 people to actually have a full game. That's all the game really needs. Obviously, if you want a bit more variety, you'd want 60 to 90 to, I don't know, 1,000 max if you want to play with different people. But at a basis, the game works. There was also as well, I want to mention this because this is more funny than anything. When the game came out, if you bought it, you get a second copy you can give to a friend. But they didn't have a friend system in place, so you had to basically try and join the game at the same time to get into the same match. That wasn't a good idea. And from what one of my friends told me, they refunded the game, but they still have it in their library. Both of them do. So one of my friends got it for free, because the other friend bought it. That friend refunded it, but they still both own the game. No, not really. I'm not really sure whose fault that was, but it was quite amusing. I think one of the main things I wanted to point out when I made the script was it's kind of a nostalgic trip for me with this game, because hey, I really like Time Splitters, and Virus is one of my favourite game modes, and obviously that's in Tower Unite as well, but I felt like it was a modern rendition of Infected, which is obviously what Halo was, and Halo Reach was one of my favourite Xbox 360 games. So it was, hey, you're now on this modern generation on PC, but you can revisit your memories from the Xbox 360, back to the GameCube, back to when you sat down with your brother and played Virus, and back when you were sitting on Xbox Live with your friends playing Infected, but everybody's just an idiot in the voice chat because obviously it's one of those games, and yeah, it was just a lot of fun, but came out too early, didn't have enough content, and the marketing just kind of went, the moment, I kid you not, before it came out, TinyBuild was going nuts about this on Twitter. It was everywhere. The moment it comes out, nothing. Nothing at all. They just kind of went, yeah, it's out now, we'll leave you to it, we'll come back later. And that's really upsetting. So, yeah, no, I wouldn't recommend this game, purely because you probably wouldn't enjoy yourself playing it, because you're playing either against elite players, or you'll be sitting in the lobby waiting for it to hit 10. And, yeah, it's just a shame. Hopefully they do something else with Pandemic Express, maybe add bots, maybe add a single player mode. Either will work, but we'll just have to wait and see.